Hi guys, today is the 5th of October 2019 at 7 minutes past 4 in the afternoon over here in the UK. I'm doing this on my computer, so there may be some noise interference at some point, but hopefully I can get through this whole thing without there being too much. I've just taken a screenshot of a frame from the iPad Go 2 video. We're very familiar with this scene, and I've circled a couple of points, and I'm just going to explain what I think they could possibly mean. Now, the first one is the deer over here. The deer is also known as a stag or a hart in Old English. It's white, and it just so happens that we have a NFL game being played here in the UK on Sunday at White Hart Lane, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of flame, which could give us a direct reference to a date, the 6th of a particular month. I'm looking at in this month, particularly October, where we may see that type of event, some sort of explosion or some sort of event that relates in fire around White Hart Lane, possibly the tube station, as there is a lot of reference to Underground and TFL, particularly in association with the Joker video that I posted in the last 2 days. Number two is Lily, the character itself, wearing the white dress. There's a place called Lily White near the stadium where the NFL match is going to be played in White Hart Lane. So I think those two may be connected. Not entirely sure, but I'll put it out there. Number three is the apple. The apple was brought to the United States from England, so it's tying the two countries together. It's also representing a ball being held in the hand, like American football or rugby, as we call it over here. And it's also a representation of the Big Apple, New York. So there's two references of locations, London and New York, the United States and England. Number four is the rose, England rose. The state rose is also the symbol of New York, so again tying the two locations together. Number five is the exit. Most commonly, I associate that with Brexit. The blue color scheme changing to the red color scheme. B for blue, R for red. Add that to exit, and you've got Brexit. It may not be intended to be done that way, but that's the way I connected it. Excuse me. Number six is the white rabbit in the background. The white rabbit is something that is common in terms of follow the white rabbit, excuse me, lead you down the rabbit hole. But a rabbit is also known as a Coney, and that gave me a reference to Coney Island in New York. So I've got White Hart Lane in London, England, and Coney Island, New York, USA. The Coney, or the rabbit, is looking at the eighth character. The eighth month on the Roman calendar is October, which is the month we're in. Now above that there's a reference to these two leaves. Now that could be pointing us to October the 11th, seeing as October the 2nd has passed. However, in this interpretation I've taken into account all the leaves, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just about 7. So I'm thinking between the 6th and the 7th, and found it interesting that I marked the rabbit or the hare or the coney as the number 6 thing I wanted to talk about, and the 8th character is number 7, between the 6th and the 7th. So I'm looking at around that time frame for these events in New York and in London, Coney Island, Brooklyn, and White Hart Lane in London. Sorry, just trying to keep my thoughts all together. Down here, the 8th thing I want to talk about is the number 23. The number 23 is shown upside down. I'm just going to mark it out so it's a bit easier to talk about. So the number 2 upside down, just like that, and the number 3, sorry, rough, but just like that. And I've taken that as an interpretation as possibly, if we're talking about October, and I've marked as the 8th character, so I'm not sure if that means anything. As I've said, the 8th month on the Roman calendar is October. Then I've taken that as possibly 8-5, 2 plus 3, 8-6, 2 times 3, and just 8-23. It may not be in this month, but those are the numbers I get out of it. So looking out today, tomorrow, leading on to the 7th, if this half 7th leaf has anything to do with it. It may be time zones, as the UK is 5 hours ahead of the east coast of the United States. So while it could be the 7th in the UK, it may be the 6th in the United States. So keep that in mind. Number 9 is the tsunami shark fin. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Looks like a tsunami. Also looks like a shark fin. The shark fin in this interpretation is a representation of a submarine. Um, Number 10 is the little object that's right next to the tsunami. I'm taking this as something either entering or leaving the ocean. If it's leaving the ocean, it could be an SLBM. We know that North Korea is on the path to perfecting that technology. And if it's not an SLBM, then I've always, I've thought about previous and early interpretations about a meteor entering the ocean and causing a tsunami. If it enters the Atlantic, then obviously places like New York and London would be affected on both sides of the coast. So that's a possible way of connecting the two as well. Number 11 is the shape that the hands and the feet make on this character. We've often connected this character to Donald Trump, but the shape is also an M, which could stand for a number of things. But Manhattan being in New York, Minnesota, for example, Donald Trump likes to travel to these places, Montana, so could be looking out for possible events there. It's also a sideways number 3 that could give us a reference to a time or a date. Obviously, as I've said, it also represents Donald Trump. This is the way he likes to sit sometimes, with his hands pointing down between his legs. But it's also shaped like mountains, and again, I'm just going to draw that out, the way it kind of goes up and up again. Again, very bad drawing there, shaky hand. But again, could be a representation of mountains, and if that's the case, then right below it is the representation of the tsunami. And we know that tsunamis and mountains go together in terms of flee to the mountains, and we often associate that with a tsunami coming in. Don't go back, don't grab anything, just go to the mountains and wait until this thing passes. That leads me on to number 12, which is the colour lily, the symbol of death or regeneration. But it's also got numbers there, possibly a mark of 1, 2, and 7 backwards, which would be 7-11. But there's also the possibility of there being just a representation of the number 5, with the other half of the 5 going behind the head. And there's the final representation of it being the number 15, as I see it. So I've marked those down. Where is it gone? On the 12th figure I wanted to talk about. So it could represent number 5, 15, or 7-11. July 2nd and 11th has passed. We was looking at the 7th Roman month, which was September. That has now passed. So if this is 7-11, then maybe it's backwards 11-7, which would be November 7th. So I'm just putting that out there as a possible watch for that. But if not, as I said, we've got the numbers 5 and 15, both of which are going to come up multiple times in the next couple of months. But we are on the 5th today, so keeping watch for anything potentially happening. We then have number 13, which I've outlined already. As I've talked about before, I see a reindeer here with it's just like a half a reindeer, half the front half, so you can see where the neck goes up. Excuse me. So you can see where the neck goes up, round the head, down the neck, down the chest, down to the leg, and kind of just standing there. You've got the ear folding over. It also kind of looks like a bull, so I'll put that as a possible representation as well. If it is a reindeer and the X just kind of seems to be above the nose, which kind of gives you a reference to Rudolph, or gives me a reference to Rudolph, that may be pointing to around Christmas time, December 25th. But if it is a bull, then it could be giving us another location, Times Square, where there is that raging bull in Times Square there. That's the interpretations I get. Obviously, a raging bull could also represent Italy. They have those bull runs, and we know Italy is referenced in this video as well, so there's that possibility. But then that kind of connects me to the next point, the last point, which is the 14th mark, which is the eye here, which is acting as an eclipse. Now, in association with the Heliofont end title, which is an anagram for many things, but one of the first things I interpreted from it was the final O, and the O could represent an eclipse. So the final eclipse, which would be on December 26th. So if this is a reindeer representing December 25th, then this could be the final eclipse representing December 26th. And then if this is 117, it could actually be 27, which would be December 25th, December 26th, and December 27th, potentially. Aside from that, the blue and white colour scheme are connected to Tottenham, which is the stadium in White Hart Lane, where the NFL match is going to be played on Sunday, the 6th. So looking out for that. The red, white, and blue is a reference to the United Kingdom and United States, as well as France and other countries, but those are the two prominent ones I've connected throughout this video. Coney Island, White Hart Lane, London, the US, the Rose being England and New York. So there's many different things there. The red and blue color scheme that they have, when it's blue then changes to red, is a reference to emergency. Obviously we see the lights going out and the emergency exit lighting up, the rabbit lighting up. So that could be a possible reference to an emergency taking place. And the black and white checkered tiles, as many of you will know already, is a reference to Freemasons, which was founded in England. So again, we have that reference to the UK. So you guys keep an eye out October 6th through to October 7th, also October 11th and October 23rd for some of these events to possibly take place. I know there's a lot of metaphorical interpretations that could be made with these things as well, but I just wanted to kind of point out many of the things that connect to the UK. Number 1, number 2, number 3, also connecting to the USA, as well as point number 4, back to England for point number 5, back to the USA for point number 6, point number 6 possibly giving us a reference to the month, maybe some dates within that month, today, tomorrow, October 23rd, possible events within that month, tsunami, maybe by SLB, I'm sorry, or meteor, could be Poseidon, Russian submarine drone causing that tsunami. I've seen that test in action. More possible locations, Manhattan being a big one. Yeah, and that's it. Aside from that, I kind of come out of October and jump into December. I do have a big watch on December. October and November just need to pass, and if that's the case, then obviously December is kind of the final month, and then the last 2 days in January. But when we do get to December, because we will get there, maybe not everyone, but we will get there as a species, as humankind. I've got the watch on 12/21, 12/23, 12/24, 25, 26, 27, 12/31. It's basically the week, the last week in December, watching out for a number of major events, particularly associated with missile launches and nuclear weapons being used, involving North Korea, and if not before then, Iran as well. You guys, I hope you was able to hear me. I know when I'm recording on my laptop, the sound quality isn't the best, but hopefully you was able to hear what I was saying. If not, hopefully what I've written on the screen is easy enough for you guys to follow in terms of where the numbers come up. So with all that said, you guys, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.